smoke drifted like ghosts over the broken spires of the ashen vault. Lightning crawled across the ruined sky, flickering violet above the glassy surface of the dead lake. The vault's outer shell, once impenetrable, now yawned open, deliberately. Its golden fangs, twisted and cracked, welcomed any soul brave or foolish enough to enter. She stood at the threshold, silent. Nara wasn't brave. Not anymore. Not after Earth. Not after the breach. Her boots crunched over scorched bone fragments, half fused with the obsidian floor. She didn't flinch. Her fingers, wrapped in makeshift wrappings torn from old military cloth, trembled only slightly as she adjusted the breathing valve on her jaw. The toxin levels were high, as expected. But she needed inside. A whisper echoed from deep within the vault. It was not sound, not really. It slithered into her mind like a memory that wasn't hers. Come closer, little human. I left the door open just for you. She stepped forward. Every instinct screamed to turn back. Every shadow reached for her like a memory of pain. The vault had been sealed for nearly a decade, a relic of the war between humans and the ancient species they had unearthed. The Dragon Lords they were called, though they bore no resemblance to legend. No wings. No fire. Only cold, coiled logic and eyes older than time. And one of them had left this place open. Nara. The voice crackled in her comlink. It was Hessa, back at the outpost. You're in. Are you seeing this on your end? I see it. Her voice was calm, but each word took effort. It's breathing. From a distance, the vault looked like architecture. Up close, it pulsed like a lum. Gold scales shimmered under dust. The metal wasn't metal, it was living alloy. The Dragon Emperor, it was said, had forged it from his own shed skin. A part of him lived in every wall. And he was still here. She passed through the antechamber, where giant humanoid skeletons lined the walls in kneeling positions. Armor still clung to some of them, carbon fiber plated, fused with claws and wet, corrupted sinew. Remnants of the Emperor's former servants, now hollowed out. Nara slowed as the corridor narrowed. Something about the design reminded her of the human bunkers, tight, angular, made for control. But here, it was the opposite. It made her feel watched. As if the walls were curious. Then the whisper returned. So soft. So small. So broken. Are you here to beg, human? Or to bleed? I'm here to clean, she said aloud. There was no answer. Her fingers grazed the hilt of the plasma knife on her belt. She didn't draw it. If he wanted her dead, he could have crushed her the moment she entered. This was a trap. She knew that. But she came anyway. Because deep inside this vault, past the Emperor's throne and the Screaming Hall, was the seed. The last known fragment of terraforming tech from Earth's pre-collapse archives. It could grow air, water, forests. It could regrow life. And Nara had someone left to save. She reached the Hall of Echoes. The floor here was different, mirrored obsidian, smooth and perfectly clean, reflecting her image back at her, though her reflection's eyes glowed with something alien. She didn't blink. Neither did the reflection. Then, a whisper not in her mind, but from the ceiling. I wondered, said a voice like broken music, how long it would take before one of you returned to me. She turned slowly. The Dragon Emperor hung from the ceiling like a spider. Massive, armored limbs clung to the dome's curvature. His body shimmered with iridescent decay, scales peeled, cracked, yet alive. His face, if it could be called that, was long, elegant, unreadable. Not beast. Not man. Not machine. Something in between. Did you enjoy the door? He purred. I opened it for you. I notice, she replied. How generous. His long head tilted. Ah. The dry wit. How very Earth of you. She stepped forward. I need the seed. He smiled, or maybe it was a twitch. Need is such a fragile concept. So easily extinguished. You're dying, she said flatly. He stilled. She continued. You cracked the vault yourself. You're bleeding energy through the walls. The vault's breathing because it's gasping. You lured me here because you want something. A low chuckle rumbled from above. Clever. Yes, little maid. I am dying. My kin fled. My throne crumbles. But I remain. He lowered himself slowly, the ground vibrating as his claws touched down. I remain because of you. She didn't move. You burned my skies. You infected my children with hope. And then you vanished. Now you return to clean? He spat the word like poison. I'm not military, she said. I scrub floors. I empty the dead. I clean up after gods who think they're invincible. A silence stretched between them. Then, almost softly, and if I give you the seed? I leave. And you get to die in peace. He cocked his head. No vengeance? No glorious fight? Too tired. The Dragon Emperor stepped aside. The vault behind him shimmered open, a portal of organic light, pulsing green. She stepped forward. And stopped. You could have killed me. He nodded. Why didn't you? The Emperor's voice dropped to a whisper. Because I wanted to see what kind of human still walks this ruined galaxy. She stared at him. Then at the seed, glowing like a tiny earth. She reached out. It pulsed once in her hand, warm, alive. As she turned to leave, the Emperor whispered, Tell them, we were not all monsters. Nara paused, looking back at the broken king. I will. Then she walked into the dark, the seed lighting her path. Behind her, the Emperor sank to his knees. For the first time in 1,000 years he wept. The fog outside the ashen vault was thicker now. Not natural fog, but sentient, corrosive, watching. Nara's boots sank into it with a hiss, the polymer fabric on her knees blistering. She wrapped the seed tighter in her pouch and kept moving. Hessa's voice crackled faintly in her earpiece. Nara? Status? I have it. You what? The seed. It's alive. Static filled the silence on the line, followed by a strangled breath. Get back. Now. You have 20 minutes. The storm's shifting. She didn't reply. Her eyes scanned the landscape, rusted metal trees jutting from gray soil, and half-sunken mech still twitching from old programming. A dead sky crackled above, silent save for the whisper of wind that sounded like her name. She was being followed. She ducked beneath a collapsed transport frame and moved fast through the skeletal remains of what used to be an airship hangar. One wall still bore the black mark of a dragon-scale strike. The claws had melted through titanium like butter. But the real danger wasn't behind her. It was below. With a slow creak, something opened underground, a hatch disguised beneath ash and debris. She heard it, barely, a low scraping followed by the faint hiss of breath. Not air. Not animal. Something older. Nara froze. Her gloved hand slipped to the plasma knife, but she didn't draw it yet. Movement would only attract it. Then a voice, not the Emperor's. This one was colder. Younger. Still crawling in the dirt, I see. Just like the last ones. Nara spun toward the sound, back hitting a rusted girder. From the shadows rose a figure, a bipedal shape wrapped in crimson membrane, half machine, half spawn. Eyes glowed from beneath a helm of bone and chrome. Its voice was smoother than the Emperor's, but crueler. Amused. Hello, little maid, it said. The old serpent let you walk free? She didn't answer. I am Vael'Korr, it continued. The true heir. He weeps in the dark. But I feast in it. Nara's grip tightened. I don't want to fight, she said. I want to leave. Of course you do, Vael'Korr said. But he gave you the seed. And that I can't allow. Behind her, the fog thickened into shapes. Limbs. Faces. Screaming, twitching masses of failed bioconstructs that crawled toward her like wounded predators. I'm not giving it up, she said flatly. Vael'Korr tilted its head. You think you have a choice? I know I do. She pulled a signal rod from her belt and slammed it into the ground. A flash of blue light burst upward, a signal flare encoded with the retrieval frequency. You called for help, Vael'Korr said, unbothered. I called for fire, she replied. And the sky answered. From above, a sonic boom shattered the stillness. Twin dropships tore through the cloud layer, their underbellies glowing hot. Missiles launched in tight sequence, striking the ground in a precise circle around her. The blast radius incinerated the fog spawn instantly. Vael'Korr leapt backward, screeching as part of its membrane caught fire. Nara sprinted for the landing zone, lungs burning, boots skidding through mud and bone. The seed pulsed against her side, warm and alive. A dropship hatch opened above her with a mechanical scream. Ropes dropped. Hessa's voice bellowed through the static. Grab it! She jumped, caught the rope, and swung hard as the ship began to rise. Below, Vael'Korr screamed her name like a curse. Nara! But she didn't look back. Not until the dropship had cleared the cloud line. Only then did she collapse to the cold steel floor, coughing, shaking, seed still clutched in her hands. Hessa knelt beside her. You good? No. She opened her fingers. The seed was glowing green, but a black line had begun to appear across its core, thin, like a crack. It's infected, she whispered. Hessa's face darkened. By what? Not the Emperor. She looked out the window, down toward the vault, now swallowed again by storm and fog. He's not the only one left. The command center at Outpost Helix buzzed with emergency activity. Screens displayed seismic ripples from the vault's region. Drones had been scrambled. The AI core was running full diagnostics on the seed. Nara sat in the observation chamber, head down, steam rising from her uniform. The seed hovered inside a containment field, pulsing once per second like a heartbeat. But it was slower now. Faint. Dr. Lior paced beside her. The organism inside isn't just biological. It's resonating with something emotional. She looked up. What do you mean? It responded to you. It's a machine. It's not. Lior leaned in. Whatever you felt down there, the seed recorded it. Pain, loss, fear, even guilt. The Emperor gave you this for a reason. Nara stood. Where's the signal coming from? Lior blinked. What signal? She pointed at the seed. It's calling something. Or someone. Look at the frequency. Hessa stepped in from the corridor. We have movement near the crater. It's not just Vael'Korr anymore. Naro's eyes narrowed. They're coming. Why? Hessa asked. She turned toward the observation window, where the stars above blinked like dying candles. Because he didn't just give us the seed, she whispered. He gave us a warning. They locked the seed in a cryovault, buried beneath Outpost Helix. But Nara couldn't sleep. She sat on the metal bench beside the air recyclers, head bowed, listening to the slow, rhythmic hum of the facility, like a bee streaming in its cage. Every vibration reminded her of the Emperor's voice, the soft weight of sorrow behind his final words. Tell them we were not all monsters. The others didn't understand. Not Hessa. Not Dr. Lior. To them, the seed was data, tech, salvation. To Nara, it was something else. It had cried with her. The AI system blinked overhead, flashing warnings in red. Intrusion detected. South corridor breach. Non-human lifeform detected. Nara was already running. She turned corners fast, dodging personnel scrambling to arms. Screams echoed. A soldier hit the ground in front of her, his chest torn open, his body still twitching. She slid to a halt at the main cryovault. The door was open. Hessa's voice snapped in her earpiece. Nara! You have hostiles inside. Vael'Korr's here. No, she breathed. It's not him. She stepped inside. The seed's chamber was bathed in pulsing green light, but it wasn't alone. A girl stood at its side. Human in shape. Small. Pale. Eyes completely black. Her skin flickered, glitching like unstable code. Nara drew her plasma knife. Step away from it. The girl looked at her. No emotion. No fear. Just curiosity. You're her, the girl said in a flat tone. The one the Emperor spared. Who are you? The girl tilted her head. A memory. An echo he left behind. You carry his final act. Nara felt her hand shake. The seed's glow pulsed harder, matching her heartbeat. Why are you here? To witness. Witness what? The girl stepped forward. Her voice didn't change, but her presence chilled the air. The death of resistance. The breaking of you. And then, she vanished. Nara staggered back, gasping, as the seed exploded in light. The pulse hit her like a wave, memories not her own flooding her mind. Dragons screaming as their world burned, the Emperor watching his kin fall, the vault collapsing in silence. And then, his voice, clear and quiet. You are not a maid. You are the last witness. The last mercy. She collapsed to her knees, choking. Hessa arrived seconds later. Nara! What happened? She looked up, shaking. It spoke to me. It showed me everything. Lior rushed in behind. The seed's frequency just spiked, like it's alive. What did it show you? Nara stood. It's not just a seed. It's a soul. Lior blinked. What? She turned to them both, eyes hollow. The Emperor poured his mind into it. He knew he was dying. He fused his memories, his regrets, everything, into the seed. He didn't just give us life. He gave us himself. Silence. Then Hessa spoke quietly. Why? Nara didn't hesitate. Because he didn't want to be the last monster. He wanted to be remembered differently. Lior swallowed. But that makes it unstable. If that much emotion is coded into it. A new alarm blared. Object approaching from orbit. Non-human signature. Collision imminent. Hessa's voice dropped to a whisper. Oh no. On the main screen, a massive ship came into view, alien, curved, sleek like a predator. It wasn't Vael'Korr. It was worse. The Inheritors, Lior said, voice trembling. The ones who banished the dragons. They're returning. Nara stared at the screen. They sense the seed activate. They think the Emperor is alive again. She turned to Hessa. We have to run. With what army? Hessa snapped. We've got 30 people, 1 dropship, and a seed that's losing its mind. Nara didn't blink. Then we do what the Emperor never could. We don't fight to rule. We fight to survive. Lior asked the question no one wanted to ask. And if they come for the seed? Nara looked down at the glowing artifact, now humming softly in tune with her breath. Then we let them come. That night, Nara sat alone with the seed. She placed her palm gently against its surface. I know you're still in there. A flicker of light. A whisper in her mind. You are not like the others. She nodded. Neither were you. Why do you keep going? Her voice cracked. Because someone has to remember that mercy exists. The seed pulsed once more, green turned to white, blinding and pure. Outside, the stars began to shift. The sky opened like a wound. They came down in silence, ships shaped like knives, drifting through the stratosphere without flame or sound. The Inheritors had no need for theatrics. Their presence alone crushed all hope. Outpost Helix trembled as their signal hit every system, corrupting feeds, draining power, whispering alien scripture into the walls. Lights dimmed. Walls wept moisture that smelled like metal and bone. Nara stood at the center of the command platform, dressed in worn armor, the seed strapped to her chest in a reinforced containment rig. Hessa armed the last plasma turret. Lior clutched a tablet glowing with failing readings. Outside, the sky went black. They're not landing, Hessa muttered. They're waiting. No, Nara said. They're watching. They think the Emperor lives again. They're afraid. Lior stepped forward, pale. We could give them the seed. Let them think it's just a memory core. Nara looked at him sharply. That's not what he wanted. Then what did he want? Hessa asked. Why give you this? Why burden a maid with the last breath of an empire? she answered softly. Because I see what others miss. The seed pulsed warmly against her ribs. A voice, faint but growing stronger, whispered in her thoughts. You must choose now. Nara closed her eyes. In that moment, time fractured. She stood not in the outpost, but within a memory, the Dragon Emperor's throne room, not as ruined but in its prime, walls of shimmering glass, stars orbiting above, hundreds of his kind gathered in solemn silence. He stood before her, whole and unbroken. I destroyed so much, he said. I thought fear would preserve us. But you bring no blade. And yet they fear you. She said nothing. He stepped closer. You are not warrior, not ruler. You are memory. Mercy. Choice. And with that, he vanished. The vision shattered. She was back in the outpost. The seed in her hands now pulsed bright white, emitting a sound like chimes beneath ocean water. The Inheritors ships stirred. They had detected it. Hessa's console blinked red. They're charging weapons! Nara didn't hesitate. She activated the seed. Energy surged outward, not destructive, but resonant. A pulse of memory, grief, and hope radiated into orbit. It wasn't a signal. It was confession, the Emperor's final thoughts, broadcast in raw emotion. Across the world, the skies shimmered. Above, the Inheritor fleet paused. One ship rotated slowly. Another powered down its weapons. What's happening? Lior whispered. They're listening, Nara said. The seed had no weapons, no armies, no commands. Just one final truth: the last dragon, once a god of terror, had died with tears in his eyes, regretful, alone, and ashamed. The Inheritors had banished monsters. Now, they faced something more terrifying. A legacy of mercy. From orbit, the largest ship turned and began to retreat. Others followed. Hessa sat down hard, stunned. They're leaving? They came to destroy the last dragon, Nara said quietly. But he already destroyed himself. They saw it. Lior blinked through tears. You ended it without a shot. Nara turned to them both, exhausted, the seed dimming at her chest. He ended it. I just showed them how. Weeks passed. The seed was no longer pulsing, but it lived, gently. Like a sleeping child. The outpost became a sanctuary. Ships from distant colonies came, not to fight, but to remember. To witness what had almost destroyed them, and what had saved them. In the garden dome, Nara knelt in soil for the first time in years. She planted a single sprout. It was fragile. But it held. Lior approached with a data pad. Terraformers are active. Green zones spreading across the southern plains. It's working. Nara smiled faintly. Hessa leaned against a beam nearby, arms crossed. Still cleaning up after gods? She looked at the tiny green leaf poking from the dirt. No, she said. Just planting new ones. Above them, the sky shimmered. And far beyond, in the cold corners of the galaxy, other monsters began to wonder, if even dragons could change, what excuse did they have? Final line. She was not the last soldier, or the last scientist, she was the last mercy, and she made them remember.